He had 3 seconds to fire. He used all 3 shots on the 3rd try. March 6th, 1945. Cologne, Germany. A German Panther tank sits in the shadow of the largest cathedral in the country, and it has just killed 2 American Sherman tanks in under a minute. The gunner who finally kills it isn't in a Sherman. He's in a tank nobody in his own army trusted yet. And the German commander who's about to die never even raises his gun to shoot first. This is the story of the last great tank duel of the war in the West, and the 3 shots that ended it. By March of 1945, the war in the West was collapsing toward its finish. American armor was pouring into Germany's cities, and Cologne was next. Its cathedral, the Kölner Dom, had stood since the 13th century. Even now, with the city in ruins around it, the twin spires were still standing. That mattered. Because one German tank commander had decided he wasn't retreating past it. His name was Oberleutnant Wilhelm Bartelborth of Panzer Brigade 106. His tank was a Panther, long 75mm gun, sloped frontal armor, a machine built to kill at range before its target ever saw the shot coming. He'd tucked it into the mouth of a side street near the cathedral square, engine off, hull hidden, gun trained on the intersection. He wasn't looking for a fight. He was waiting for one to walk past him. It didn't take long. 2 American Sherman tanks from Easy Company, 32nd Armored Regiment, 3rd Armored Division, were creeping down Komödienstrasse, escorting infantry toward the Rhine. No infantry screen out front, no warning. Just 2 Shermans, moving slow around debris, cupolas the only thing visible over the rubble line. Bartelborth let the lead tank come to him, 2 rounds, both into the turret, inches apart, just above the driver's head. The lead Sherman's commander, Lieutenant Kellner, died trying to climb out of the hatch. The Panther's aim was surgical, the kind of shooting that only comes from a crew that has done this before and knows exactly where a Sherman is weakest. The 2nd Sherman tried to run. It didn't make it. A round tore through the track, and the tank sat crippled in the street, its crew scrambling out under fire, the Panther holding position, unhurried, still hidden, still armed, and still waiting. In under a minute, Bartelborth had cost the Americans 2 tanks and killed men who'd made it through 5 years of war to die 400 yards from a cathedral. He had every reason to believe the next tank down that street would die exactly the same way. He was wrong about what was coming next. The Americans called up reinforcement, and this time it wasn't a Sherman. It was a T-26E3, the Pershing. Only a handful had reached the front by March 1945, rushed into combat straight off the assembly line, still untested against German armor in anything but rumor, heavier than a Sherman, better armored, a 90mm gun instead of 75mm, finally enough gun to answer a Panther on equal terms. In the gunner's seat, Corporal Clarence Smoyer. Tank Commander, Sergeant Robert Early, a cameraman named Jim Bates, Army Signal Corps, had heard there was a fight building near the cathedral and ran up on foot to film it. What he caught next would become one of the most watched pieces of combat footage of the entire war. The Pershing rounded the corner onto Marzellenstrasse. Distance to the Panther, 110 meters. Close enough that either tank's gun would go straight through the other's front armor. No room for a second mistake. Here is the detail that decided everything. Bartelborth's gun was already pointed down the street, ready, loaded, sighted. He had the first shot. He had always had the first shot, and he didn't take it. His crew hesitated. the low silhouette of the Pershing, a shape German tankers had never trained against, never briefed on, never seen in the field, red as friendly in the half-second that mattered most. A tank that should have died first didn't, because the men about to kill it looked for one fatal breath, like Germans looking at a German tank. Smoyer didn't wait to find out if the mistake would correct itself. First shot into the Panther's right side, just below the mantlet. Second shot, seconds later, the seam between upper hull and running gear. Third shot, finishing the job before the German gun ever swung to answer. 3 rounds, 90 millimeters each, fired inside the time it takes to read this sentence out loud. The Panther burned in front of the cathedral for the better part of 3 days. 1 crewman was killed, the rest bailed and ran. Bartelborth himself got out. The man who'd killed 2 Shermans in a minute lived to be captured because his own gunner never got the chance to finish what he started. Here is the reversal, and it's the only number that matters. The Panther fired first in this duel, twice, and killed 2 crews doing it. The Pershing fired second, and it only needed 3 shots to end it, because the tank that should have won didn't pull the trigger when it counted. Bartelborth wasn't beaten by a better gunner. He was beaten by a half-second of hesitation, born out of a tank his side had never bothered to brief him on. The Wehrmacht had spent 5 years teaching its crews to recognize every silhouette on the battlefield, and missed one 3 months before the war ended, in front of the one building in Cologne. Everyone had agreed not to destroy. Jim Bates got it all on film. 46 seconds, still online today, still the clearest footage of a tank duel from the entire war. Because a cameraman ran toward the gunfire instead of away from it. The cathedral is still standing. The Panther isn't. And the last thing Wilhelm Bartelborth ever did with his gun was point it at a target he had already killed twice, and let it live long enough to kill him back.